What's going on, everybody? HR Falcons 22 back here again doing another Snus review for you guys, and this time I'm going to be reviewing Skruf. I believe that's how it's pronounced. This is Skruf Extra Stark White. I actually got this from two servicemen from the Norwegian military who were at a bar across the street from the Delirium Cafe in Brussels, Belgium over this past weekend, and we struck up a conversation. Somehow, some way, it ended up that we were in agreement that we all loved smokeless tobacco, and so one of them pulled out this can, and I told him that I would immediately give them a shout out as soon as I got the chance to make a video. So Christian, I think that's, yeah, Christian and Kim, two Norwegian guys that I met at Arden Flores across from the Delirium Cafe in Brussels this past weekend. Thank you so much. You guys are the shit. I absolutely love this stuff. I would come up to Norway if only to get more of this stuff. So I figured I would go ahead and review this for you guys. So first off, check out the can aesthetic on this. This is without a doubt 10 out of 10, like the coolest can of snus, dip, anything that I've ever seen. So you've got this sleek contemporary look, right? It looks all space, fucking astronaut and shit. And then on the side, you've got these four red dots right here. On a scale of, I think it's the rating system that Skruf uses for their snus. Anything on a scale of 1 to 4, so four dots is the strongest stuff that they make, and that's why it carries the title of Extra Stark. Stark is the term for strength, I guess, in Norwegian. Is that a language? Is Norwegian a language? Does anybody know? Yeah, it has to be. Yeah. I don't know, they speak Danish. Fuck, I don't know. We're hanging out in the room right now, so and everybody's on their phones, and I was like, hey, I'm gonna make a snus review, and everybody was like, all right. So let's go ahead and get to that. But first, I figured with the Super Bowl coming up, obviously the Broncos are in it, and that's really the only thing that I care about. But at the same time, I still wanted to get my predictions out there, as well as cover the whole Richard Sherman controversy, because I don't know why well, I do know why people blew up about that, but anyways, that's for the rest of the video. So, and then we'll tell, I don't know, I'll tell at least some of the crazy stories from Belgium this past weekend. So let's go ahead and get to it. First things first, when you open up the can of snus, oh fuck, I dropped a few patches right there. That was a rookie mistake. So when you take out a portion of snus, right, it just looks like that. I've shown it before, snus packets, snus pouches in some of my other videos. The thing I didn't know about Skruf in particular, I don't know if it's the same with Eaton or some of the other Norwegian, like Scandinavian snus brands, is that it's tobacco, sodium bicarbonate, so baking soda, and water. Those are really the only three ingredients that go into making snus. But the Skruf, I was looking on their website earlier, and it said that their tobacco is actually flavored with rose oil and bergamot. So it kind of smells like your grandpa's house, but it's classy, it's elegant. I don't know, and that's probably because of the European aesthetic. Europe is so, like, I don't know, it's so fucking classy, it's so elegant and shit. So why did you like the grandma joke, Jordan? Was that it? Was it the bergamot and grandma joke? I'm just making spaghetti. Alright, Jordan's gonna go make spaghetti right now. So, when you take a pouch of snus, you're gonna throw it in your upper lip. Because you put it in your upper lip, you're not gonna salivate as much, so you can actually swallow it. And so we'll do one up here, right? You just go in the upper lip. Going in your, the upper lip is also a lot more discreet. So you can use it in a variety of social settings. Like if you're at a dinner party or something like that, you don't want to whip out a can of dip and just throw in a massive lipper. So you can just use snus instead, I guess. So put it in your upper lip, just like that. You can swallow it. You can spit it out. I mean, that's kind of a waste because you get more of a buzz definitely if you swallow it. But I mean, and personally, I like the flavor. It's just a very classy, earthy, kind of like botanical flavor. And it's cool. I love the way this stuff tastes. Very elegant, very, again, contemporary, modern, whatever. Skruf is actually a newer brand that's only been around since 2002, I think. And it was just started by these two Norwegian dudes who both happen to love snus. And they had backgrounds in finance, or each of them had been to business school or something like that. And so they decided, hey, there's a market that needs serving. Why don't we just start our own snus company? And they did, and it rocks. So let's go ahead and leave this in for a little bit, and let's get right into the Super Bowl predictions. So, obviously, I think the Broncos are going to win the Super Bowl. I don't know about anybody else in the room, but I have to. I can't think that anybody else is going to win the Super Bowl. It's my hometown team. Like, what else am I going to say? Peyton Manning, the Broncos are the least hateable team in the NFL. It's literally impossible to hate the Broncos. Okay, who's our most controversial player? Von Miller. Okay, Von Miller is still like a good dude. Yeah, he failed a drug test, but like, who cares, you know? Wes Welker, even though I saw some Onion article today and it was like Wes Welker tragically crushed by microphone or something like that, and it was just a picture of like a bloodied microphone with like a very, very small miniature Wes Welker. But Eric Decker, no Sean Moreno, I think, is just going to go off. And because we have Peyton Manning, and Peyton Manning is so good about finding mismatches and reading the coverage really at the line of scrimmage on every single play, and you give a guy like Peyton Manning, a seasoned vet, a quarterback with however many years experience, and you give him this much time to prepare for a matchup, I guarantee that Peyton Manning knows absolutely anything and everything that the Seahawks defense is going to throw at him. So even Richard Sherman, being the best, he is the best cornerback in the league. I won't deny that. Sherman is the best cornerback in the league. But even with Sherman on the other side of the line, I think that Peyton's just going to pick him apart. Like there's really no other way to put it. So that's my prediction for the Super Bowl. Moving on to the Richard Sherman controversy. I saw that. I didn't see it live, unfortunately, but I just saw it. I saw it blowing up on Twitter, and eventually I just watched the video. And the thing is, everybody came out and was like, "Oh, it's because Sherman's black. Like, you know, America's not ready to have a Stanford graduate, whatever, Richard Sherman, who's really, he was in an intense moment in the game. It's not like you would have expected him to be calm, cool, and collected. Like, he had just made a huge play, and they were going to the Super Bowl, and he was amped. Of course, completely understandable. But when people were calling other people out for, oh, you're only hating on Sherman because he's black. No, that's garbage. I would have said if a white cornerback did the same exact thing that Sherman did, I would have thought he was a huge tool bag. But it was just Richard Sherman. It's not an issue of white versus black. It's just an issue of whether you're being a consummate professional or not. And if you saw the other video where Sherman was I think it was a Redskins game, he was congratulating somebody at midfield, and he said something smart. And one of the Redskins linemen just walked up to him and was like, "You know what I'm going to do?" And Sherman was like, "Oh, what are you going to do? What are you going to do?" And the lineman was like, "I'm going to punch you right in your fucking face." And Sherman was like, "Well, do it. Just do it." And the guy just fucking punched him right in the face. It was crazy. But, I mean, I give Sherman credit. He, like, stood up. He didn't get knocked out or anything. He just moved backwards like a tool bag. So, I don't know, the whole Richard Sherman deal, like, I back it up. If he's truly the best corner in the league, then I guess we'll see come Super Bowl Sunday, which the day after the Super Bowl, we have a midterm. So I guess that I'm not going out the night of the Super Bowl, which kind of sucks because, like, it's the Broncos. If there's any reason, any night to go out for the Super Bowl here, even here in Europe, I'm sure the Super Bowl is probably still pretty big. So disappointed about that, but I will be faithfully watching my Broncos and pulling for the win. So let's see. Okay, moving on. Stories from Belgium. Holy hell. All right, so we went to Belgium this past weekend, and we ended up touring through, let's see, we stopped in Antwerp, our group did at least, stopped in Antwerp, we went to Brussels, and we went to Bruges. All three of those cities were magnificent, absolutely incredible. Like, I loved every second we were in Belgium. And the thing about Antwerp, I'll start with Antwerp at least. We stopped for like 4 hours in Antwerp because we were waiting for a train. We knew we could have caught a later train. So we were just like, hey, let's stop and see Antwerp. So we stop in Antwerp, you walk outside and there's these diamond shops everywhere because that's what Antwerp is predominantly known for, is the diamond trade, a diamond capital of Europe. So you have all these diamond shops. You're walking along this main plaza, and it's actually surprisingly Americanized. There's like McDonald's and Starbucks and stuff like that. But you've also got like these small waffle stands and these chocolatiers and, you know, just really cool like European stuff. And the architecture is just insanely detailed, like just a bunch of crazy gargoyles and floral patterns that are just, it looks like somebody just took and drew them on the building. It's literally mind-blowing to think about how someone sat there and chiseled away and got this perfect shape for this architecture, and it's still functional. So we end up going to like the city square, the main square of Antwerp, and they've got this huge cathedral that's just rising up out of nowhere, and it's got this huge clock on it, and the bells are ringing, and there's all these people in the square and everything. And one of the guys who was in our group, his name's Ginder. He's from the UK, but he had been to Antwerp before, and he was like, "Yo, we stopped at this bar the last time I was here, and at this bar they have the best beer in the world. It's like 12 euros a bottle, but it's won like the gold medal. It's won the gold medal for like the past 4 years or something like that, as far as being the best, like the best beer in the world." So we were like, absolutely, let's go find this place. So we're kind of touring around like north of the cathedral in Antwerp, and there's really cool shops that are like, you have waffle stands, but then right next to the waffle stand, you'll have like a shop that has all these like cult memorabilia, like Illuminati type shit, tattoo parlors, just like really cool vinyl stores, like just all these cool, really unique little shops. So we're winding back through these neighborhoods, these really narrow streets. And Ginder, we're kind of getting lost, and everybody's getting a little anxious, like, okay, Ginder, like, where's this place? And Ginder just sees this one building, and he's like, I know exactly where we are right now. The bar is right around the corner. So we end up going to this bar, and it looked like a bar, or the pub, I guess, that Frodo and, I don't know, the rest of the hobbits go to in The Lord of the Rings. What's it called? The Prancing Pony. It looked like that. It was like these dull brown tables that have these bench seats, and like candles are on every table, and they've got like all this vintage stuff on the wall. I felt like I was in a medieval Viking beer hall. It was the coolest thing. So we all get some beers, and then our waitress comes over and says, "Oh yeah, by the way, we have the best beer in the world here. It's 12 euros a bottle." And we all just split it. We were like, hell yeah, it's worth it for, you know, a few sips of the greatest beer in the world. So she brings it over to the table. The owner of the bar comes over to the table, and he's telling us about the beer and how it's brewed by these monks, and they only make a limited number of this beer. They make like, I think it's less than 1,500 bottles a year. And it's insanely hard to get. And he pours us all a glass, and, you know, we toast and everything. And I took a sip of this beer, and oh my God, like I would have paid more than 12 euros for that even, because it was amazing. It was so good, just like creamy, but like spicy, but like Guinness, but like citrusy. It was a blend of every flavor of beer that you could ever imagine. And it was awesome. So if you ever get the chance, go to Antwerp, check out the best beer in the world. I don't remember, what was the name of the fucking pub? De Veerstoek or something like that. Just, I mean, look it up, like, best beer in the world. I'm sure you'll be able to find a place if you happen to be over in Europe. So that was Antwerp. So from Antwerp, we hop back on the train and head up to Brussels, or head down to Brussels. So we get to Brussels, we drop all of our backpacks off at this hostel that we're staying at, and we immediately start searching for the Delirium Cafe. Delirium Tremens is, without a doubt, besides the Trappist ale, the monk's ale or whatever, as far as like being commercially available, like easy to get and everything, Delirium is, without a doubt, the best beer I've ever had. And critics seem to agree too, because it's won best, you know, whatever beer in the world for however many years now. But so we get into the Delirium Cafe, and kind of a similar aesthetic to the Trappist, the bar in Antwerp. There's all these tables, and everybody's just like, literally everybody in that bar was hammered. And so we walk up the stairs, and half of our study, literally the majority of kids from our study abroad group are there, and everybody's just chilling, everybody's drinking. Like, it was a blast. It was an absolute just shit show of a night. I sang just an impromptu a cappella rendition of Take Me Home Country Road by John Denver, yeah. But I sang it with this kid Seamus from Ireland, and then this Nick from my previous video. So we all sang this rendition, and then we went next door to the Delirium Cafe, and there was a restaurant there that was offering steak and salad and fries for 10 euros, which is a deal because everything is just so insanely expensive in Europe. So we get this 10 euro, you know, whatever, and you got 2 free beers with it. So everybody's just progressively like getting more and more wasted as the night goes on. We end up going across the street to Arden Flores, which is like another little pub bar type place across from the Delirium Cafe, and it was there that I met the 2 Norwegian dudes who hooked me up with this. So yeah, I think I already gave a shout out to them, but Christian, Kim, again, thank you guys. I really appreciate this. And it was really cool just hanging out, talking to those people, like just meeting new people who, you know, you never would have expected to meet people like that, or maybe that's what you do expect when you're traveling around Europe or whatever. So we spend the night in Brussels. We almost get kicked out of our hostel for some bullshit. Like, I don't even remember what it was. But we spend the night in Brussels, and then the next day we kind of tour around Brussels a little bit, and then we head to Bruges. Bruges is definitely not, it's not like Brussels or even Antwerp, I would say, where it's like big club party scene or whatever. But if you're looking to go lay low somewhere in Europe, Bruges is the spot. That place was so like calming and soothing. The entire city made you feel like you were in a Disney movie. It literally felt like you were in a Disney movie because the architecture was phenomenal, and they had these horse-drawn carriages that are clopping around the city square and everything. And so we get to Bruges, and we're walking to go to our hostel. We're about to go and check into our hostel there, and this random Belgian girl just like walks up to me and says something in Dutch or says something in French, and I don't speak either of those languages, so I was just like, and she was with like her mom and a few other people, and she holds up this card and tells me that she's getting married the next day, and this is like her last night as a bachelorette. So immediately I'm just like, okay, like what's gonna happen? Like, am I like the lucky guy or something like that? It's like your last, I don't know, sexual liaison or something. But it wasn't that, and we ended up, God, what did I do? Oh, so I signed the scavenger hunt card for her. I was just like, hey, you and your husband, you're going to make beautiful fucking Belgian babies together. And then I carried her across the threshold of this discount clothing store. So, I mean, that was like my first impression of Brussels, or Bruges, sorry. So then we go to our hostel in Bruges, and what followed will probably live in the annals of history as one of the craziest nights ever. Everybody got to Bruges, and everybody was still like, ugh, from Brussels. And so everybody originally was like, oh, I'm going to take it easy. Yeah, I think I'm just going to lay low in Bruges. No, nobody laid low in Bruges. Everybody was just like, we were in the hostel, and they had pool. They had a bar in the lobby of the hostel. So, of course, everybody just had, like, the time of their lives. And we ended up waking up in the morning. We went into the city square again. The rest of the group was going on a tour of some chocolate factory. I was like, all right, well, fuck Willy Wonka. Like, I'm trying to do some other shit. So we're walking around. I get separated from my group somehow, and I end up ducking into this small coffee place just real quick, and then I plan to join up afterwards with the group. So I get an Irish coffee and a cheese croissant, and I'm just sitting there, and I come back out of the shop, and my group isn't there. So I'm literally just wandering around Bruges by myself, like still hungover and just whatever. And so I end up going to some of these cool parks, these little like quaint, picturesque neighborhoods or whatever around Bruges. And I just sit in this park for probably like half an hour and try to collect myself and just watch people. And it was just like, I had this crazy, I don't know, like spiritual awakening, like spiritual experience or whatever, just sitting on this park. And I was thinking about it later, like, I wonder what like the tourist groups, the people walking by were thinking about when they see just this kid sitting on a park bench holding his head in his hands, like, ugh. But at the same time, it was really cool. Like, Bruges was absolutely awesome. So if you get the opportunity, go to Bruges. So I think all is good. Everything's going well. Like, the trip was awesome. I just decided to head back here to Rotterdam by myself. So I go from Bruges, I go back to Brussels, and I get to the train station in Brussels, and this random, I buy a ticket for back to Rotterdam, and this random lady just walks up to me, and she wasn't homeless, but she looked a little messy, like disheveled and kind of rough around the edges, and she comes up to me. She doesn't speak a word of English. It's all French, and I literally do not understand anything that she is saying. And she tells me, we settle upon, I'm like, habla usted español? And she's like, sí, sí. So we end up speaking in Spanish, and she asked me if I can buy her a train ticket so that she can go see her family or, I don't know, some other bullshit. So I buy her a train ticket because I'm trying to build some karma, like atone for my sins of the previous evening. So I buy her a train ticket thinking that, oh, I'm just being a good person. I'm just like doing the right thing. Buy her a train ticket. She then gets the train ticket in her hands and then starts making this motion, like, and I was like, you want a dip? And she was like, and I pulled out my can of Copenhagen, and she was just like, no. And she instead meant like, can we get something to eat? Like, can you buy me something to eat? I was like, you know, I already bought you a train ticket, so why not? So she grabs me by the hand, and all of a sudden I'm thinking like, oh my God, this is a prostitute. Like, I don't know what I'm getting into right now. She takes me out of the Brussels train station and across the street into this Arabic like bazaar, this souk, like market or whatever. And we go into the store, and she's like, will you groceries? Will you buy? I was just like, yeah, sure. Thinking that she was just going to get a few things. She grabs this grocery basket and just starts piling shit in there. So I'm sitting there like, oh my fuck, God, what am I going to do? And before you know it, who I assumed to be her extended family, like her mom and what looked like her kid, they come up and they're like, hey, can you like buy us some stuff too? I'm just like, yeah, sure. Like, more fucking fun for the whole family. Why not? So I buy them all this shit. I drop probably like 55, 60 euros on just this family who I thought was in need. And as we're leaving the souk, the market, I'm like, all right, well, I have to go back to the train station. So I give this lady a hug, and she's like, why did you buy for them? And she like motioning to the people behind us. And I was just sitting there like, that's not your family? And she was like, no, like as if I should have known. And it was up until that point, I had been like the nice American just trying to help out, like, oh yeah, sure, whatever. And it was at that moment that I was just like, fuck you, have a nice life, and just left. I just started walking away, and I was seething about it on the train. I was so pissed because I was like, how many beers could like I have bought, or like cans of Skruf could I have bought with that money? But at the same time, I mean, it's 55 euros, 60 euros, like that's a lot of money, but especially when you're a student or whatever. But I mean, she probably ate well that night. So, I mean, I guess I can feel happy about that. I don't really know. But so anyways, those are some stories from Belgium. Let's go ahead and move on back to Skruf. Oh my God, this stuff is so smooth. When you swallow snus, normally, if you swallow, especially American-made snus or something like that, it's just not. It doesn't go down quite easy. I don't know. It feels like it burns your throat a lot. This stuff, no burn whatsoever, and I can feel still at the same time that like, hey, it's good nicotine. It's a good nicotine hit for sure. The thing about Skruf and really like snus in general, and I was doing some more research because we were talking with one of my other roommates just really about like the advantages of snus versus dip. And we kind of got into an argument about it or whatever. So I took the liberty of looking some stuff up on Wikipedia, the most trusted source out there on the web. So, according to Kenneth Warner, director of the University of Michigan Tobacco Research Network, the Swedish government has studied this stuff to death, and to date, there is no compelling evidence that it has any adverse health consequences. Whatever they eventually find out, it is dramatically less dangerous than smoking. So, let's see. Ongoing debate. Since snus isn't intended for inhaling, like you don't inhale snus. It doesn't affect your lungs, obviously. So the lung cancer rates in Sweden and other countries that predominantly use snus are significantly lower, and therefore their mortality rates from tobacco-related illnesses like lung cancer, esophageal cancer, pancreatic cancer, anything like that, they're so much lower than the rest of Europe. And that's because this stuff is steam cured. It's not fire cured like American dip is, but it contains a considerably lower, as I mentioned in one of my previous videos, just a considerably lower number of tobacco-specific nitrosamines. So to give you guys some numbers, the nitrosamines in dip come from the heating of anaerobic bacteria, which can lead to like carcinogenic factors. It's bacteria that gets on the tobacco leaf. So when you steam cure that shit, it just kills the bacteria. Whereas if you fire cure that shit, it doesn't exactly kill all the bacteria, and that bacteria ends up on the leaf and grows and ferments and gives you cancer and shit. So for the Eaton brand, this isn't Eaton, but Eaton is another very well-known Swedish snus brand. 2.8 parts per million for the Eaton brand, and that's compared to sometimes as high as 127.9 parts per million in some American brands. And that's according to the Commonwealth of Massachusetts Department of Health. So there you have it. I mean, snus, this shit is like insane. I mean, obviously it's tobacco still. You still might get throat cancer, you still, whatever. But your chances of getting any type of cancer, whatever, esophageal cancer, considerably lower with Skruf and snus in general than any other form of tobacco. I was reading some more just stuff about snus, and it was estimated that they use snus a lot, especially in the Scandinavian countries, as a smoking cessation aid. So when people are trying to quit smoking, especially if they're fairly young, 25 to 30 years old, and they switch to using snus instead of smoking cigarettes or something like that, it was a study by the Swedish Health Ministry that estimated that 100% of the risk of cardiovascular diseases that would have been associated with smoking, 100% of that risk is transferred away from snus users. So if you start using snus instead of smoking cigarettes, then your chances of cardiovascular illnesses associated with tobacco use, long-term tobacco use, are 100% less. So just keep that in mind. Again, the flavor of this stuff is just phenomenal. I definitely can taste the bergamot and the rose oil and everything. And it's just it's a classy taste. At the same time, even with just 2 of these little pouches, I can definitely, you still feel a little nicotine pick-me-up. But it's a lot cleaner. It's a different nicotine pick-me-up than, it's a different buzz, if you will, than Copenhagen or Skoal or really any other snus brand that I've tried for that matter. It's a lot cleaner. It doesn't make you feel like you're a piece of shit or whatever, just like dipping and, whatever. Because you can swallow it and it feels more, I don't know, what's the word for it? I guess clean. Clean would be the word that I would use to describe snus, and especially Skruf in general. So if you guys can find this stuff, absolutely, I'd 100% recommend that you try it. Skruf, Swedish or Norwegian snus, actually. So I guess that about does it for the Skruf review. I mean, if I had to give this stuff a rating, especially considering that it's insanely safe for you, the nicotine hit is very clean. It's just a very nice thing to do, I guess. It smells classy. The can aesthetic is absolutely incredible. I would absolutely give this stuff a 10 out of 10. Snus or dip or anything else, smokeless tobacco. As far as smokeless tobacco goes, the smokeless tobacco that I've tried, this stuff is absolutely a 10 out of 10. Perfect fucking score. And I try to be nice sometimes. Like, I'm not the fucking Russian judge when it comes to rating dips or, whatever, or snus. But this stuff is awesome. It's completely, like, I might just hop on the Skruf bandwagon for the rest of my life. But I know that eventually, as soon as I get back to America, I'm just going to want to get my can of Copenhagen long cut. But I will definitely try this stuff again. Absolutely. So thank you guys again for watching. And keep on snoozing, keep on dipping, keep on living your life, doing whatever the fuck it is that you do, because life is too short to, I don't know, not have fun, not to dip, to not snooze. I don't really know. But thank you guys again for watching. Take it easy.